Welcome guys, it is Dr. Tom here. I am going to take you through a surf mobility and surf flow routine this morning that might help you before you get in the water. Okay, so number one, we're going to come down into a prone position, straight arms, hips slightly elevated, and we're just going to be walking those heels out. So really trying to increase that what we call dorsiflexion in the ankle, and using the breath, stay nice and relaxed. Try and push that heel down towards the ground. Keep it slow and controlled. Alright, we're just going to do another 4, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now from here, what we're going to do is step one foot really slowly through to the outside of the arm. Once we're here, we're going to try and drop that right hip down to increase the stretch into the hip, and then lift the hips just a little bit back to neutral, foot back, slowly go into the other side. So try and do this as slowly as possible. Drop the hips down, lift. You're going to probably find that one hip struggles a little bit more than the others. A few people, or a lot of people who have hip impingement may feel a little bit of pinching in the front of the hip. If it's painful, please come out of this one and just join us from the next exercise onwards. So really use that breath. As you breathe out, we're trying to increase the stretch. Nothing should be a struggle here. If you're forcing it, you're probably going to pull up a little sore tomorrow. It's not what the exercise is designed to do here. It's just to make sure everything's nice and limber. That mobility is starting to increase. So when we do go surfing, especially if it's in cold water, we're not going to do any injuries, and the chances of injuring ourselves will be lower. All right, so we're just going to do one more, and then change it up a little bit. Alright, so once we're here now, what we're going to do is try and ground all our weight into this front heel and foot. So once the weight's grounded here, core's switched on, we're dropping the hips into neutral. We're going to feed the arm to the outside, puff the chest, and then slowly come back under. So that's 1, all the way to 10. And 2. Puff the chest. 3. Keep putting all this weight into the front foot, and 4. Breathing out as you come up, and 5, in through the nose as you come down. 6, and 7. Try to increase that mobility as we come back through here. Reach the arm through more. As we come up, puff the chest more and get more thoracic rotation. And 8, and 9, and 10. Alright, both hands back on the ground, stepping the foot back, coming up with the other. Same thing, ground down into the front foot, kick the back leg nice and straight, strong through the core. Once we're all set in position here, feeding the arm under, opening that thoracic, puffing the chest, and that's 1. And 2. Breathing out on the way up, in on the way down. And 4. And that's 5. 6. 7. 8. 9, and 10. Okay guys, so from here we're going to come into what we call a 90-90 position. I always like with this one, if we can perform this on something that's a little softer. So if you've got carpet at home, that's great. If you've got the soft gymming mats, that's even better. If you do this on a hard floor, it'll probably hurt your knees a little bit. I often do this before I go paddle out in the sand, so it's nice and soft. But what we're doing here, 90 degrees in the back leg, 90 degrees in the front leg, and all we're doing here, we're going to slowly tilt over that front knee, making sure if you've got sore backs, as we drop here, you can either use your hands if you've got a sore back. If not, use keeping that core engaged, getting as much of a stretch into the side of the hip, and then slowly rotating here into the other side, dropping back down over that knee, keeping the core engaged. So nothing, as you lift here, it shouldn't be through the lower back. So that's 1 on each side. We're going for 6 here. Slowly. And that's 2. Keep the core engaged. As we rotate here, we shouldn't be using that back at all. And you can see I'm sort of coming off my mat now. And this is for 4. I'm going to wriggle back just a little bit as I come around here. Keep it at your own pace as well. And this is now, we're going on for 5. And we've got 1 more on each side. So keep it slow, keep it controlled. Try and sink more and more into that stretch. So get that body right over the knee. Feel the stretch in the side of the hips. And good, up from there. So if we're off our mats like I am, wriggle back onto it. All right, guys, so once again, back in that 90-90 position, what we're going to do here is try and activate the hip stabilizers. Arms in front of us, and all we're doing here is squeezing. So through the hip stabilizers, lifting, pushing the hips as far through as possible. You should feel a big opening in the groin region, and then slowly dropping, then slowly transitioning. Lifting up, pushing the hips as far out as possible, dropping, rotating. Once again, this is where you really want to keep your knees on something a little softer, especially if they're as bony as mine, because the hard surface can really irritate them. Good, so that's 2. We're going for 7 here. And 3. So as you can see, as I come down, everything's the slowest control, what we call that eccentric control. If you drop straight down, you're not activating those muscles, the stability muscles we need when we go surfing. So we're on to 5 now, really pushing this hip as far out as possible, opening up those hips. Same thing if you've got a little bit of hip impingement here. As we go from side to side, you might get a little pinch in here. If it's painful, stop. If it's a minor little pinch, that's okay. It just means we need to really start to open up those hips a little bit more. And we're going last rep on each side now. So push those hips through, slowly down, rotating, and good, slowly down from there. All right, so we are staying in that 90-90 position now. And all we're trying to do here, a lot of people struggle with this one. So the more you struggle, the more we're going to lean away from the side we're trying to lift. So I'm going to show you the easy way here, leaning away, trying to lift, holding for 4 seconds, and then slowly down. So what we're doing here is trying to activate our internal hip rotators. And internal hip rotation is something that every surfer needs. And if you don't have it, when you're pushing turns or even when you're falling, it can go through the MCL in your knee and damage a bunch of things all the way down the chain. So we really want good internal rotation for surfing. So we're going to try and get through. So this is the easy way here. If you want to come up a little bit, the further upright you are, the harder it makes it. Keep those hands on the ground for a little bit of support and stability. As you can see here, your leg doesn't lift a whole way off the ground. 4-second hold and then slowly down. The release down is really important. So this is for 5, 2, 1, slowly down. 2, 1, slowly down. 2, 1, slowly down. If you're really weak in these internal hip rotators, you're probably going to start to cramp in the side of the hip, and that may last the first 2 or 3 weeks. So when you do start to cramp, obviously come out for a little bit of rest, but generally it's telling us that you're just a little weak. So if we can start to build that strength, and you do this every time before you surf, we're going to be kicking solid goals, and that's what we want. All right, we're going to go last one here. It's pretty cool with this one. You can get eventually little ankle weights, really increase that resistance that as you lift into internal, and it does make it a lot more challenging. So once again, remember, easy is leaning away. So if you're struggling with that internal lean away, if you can handle it, nice and upright through the torso, and then we're trying to lift through there. So 4 seconds, 2, 1, down from there. 2, 1, and this is for 3, 2, 1, and for 4, 2, 1, halfway, so 4 to go, and lifting, 2, 1, 2, 1, let's go, 2 more, 2, 1, and let's go, last one, keep it strong, and lifting, 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 and then a really slow release from there. Good, and slowly coming out from there. All right, so now we're going to go into a kneeling position. Cat camels, you've probably heard of these. As surfers, we extend our back paddling around all day, so what we're going to do is go the other way and try and promote the spine and that fascia over the spine to improve into our flexion. So what we're doing here, through the mid-back, lifting it up towards the ceiling. Then once we're at the top here, we're going to lever this by trying to tuck the glutes, and then squeezing that chin all the way into the chest. Once we're here, we're going to try and belly breathe. So as we breathe in here, trying to fill the lower rib cage, and then keep lifting more and more. Pull that chin as hard into the chest as possible, and 2 breaths at the top here. So 1 more breath. Lift, 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 chin all the way into the chest, tailbone tucked under, and then as you breathe, letting yourself drop into the ground. So we're just going to do 4 of these. As you can see, they're pretty slow. So as we start to lift here, it really helps by pushing away into the mat, pushing that way. So lifting, lifting that mid-back, lifting, rounding it, rounding it. Once we're at the top, remember, lever it, chin into the chest, tailbone under, and let's go. 2 deep breaths. Try and expand that rib cage and lift up more. And that's 2. We got 2 to go. Pushing away into the mat, lifting, 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 lifting. And let's go, chin all the way into the chest, tailbone tucking under, locking that rib cage down, the core should be switched on, rounding that spine as much as possible with the breaths. Alright, and that's 1 more to go. So pushing away into the mat, lifting the mid-back, lift it, round it, and tuck the tailbone, chin squeezes into the chest. And now let's go with the breaths. Lift, lift, lift through those breaths. And again. And dropping down from there. So a really good one, guys, especially if you're one of those guys that's putting in a lot of water time each day. We've got to try and oppose that extension motion and really try and stretch everything out a little bit more. All right, guys, so for the next one, it's another little hip one. And what we're doing here, so as you rock forward, you've probably seen this one as a stretch. And then all we're doing here, keeping the hands ready to go onto the ground, weight into the heel, trying to flex that spine once again over as far as possible and keep this leg as straight as possible. As you can see, I've got a bit of work to do with that hamstring mobility and slowly dropping. So just 5 each side here, round that spine. As you breathe out, sink further into the stretch. And this is for 3. And for 4. And for 5. Alright, and changing sides. So it shouldn't be painful at all. Make sure when you are doing mobility, it's all within comfort zones. We don't want to be pulling up sore. And last one, guys. Alright, and slowly coming out from there. And now what we're going to do, guys, is warm the neck up. So I'm going to show you here from a side-on position. We're going to interlock these fingers behind the back, and then as we squeeze those hands down, so you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades down as far down and back as possible. As we do that, we're letting the neck go into extension, puffing the chest, locking the ribs down, tailbone down, and then as we come up, the shoulders all the way up to the ears, we're flexing the chin down to the chest, and then repeat. So we're going 6 reps here. And that's 2. And 3. Puff the chest, open the shoulders. 4, 2 to go. And 5, last one. And 6. Alright, so from here what we're going to do, last one today, guys. Arms once again, your fingers interlocking, rolling the arms to the outside, palms facing up towards the sky. Widen that stance, wider than shoulder width apart. What we're going to do here now is side bend into one side. Try and open up the lats, all the lateral structures down the side here. As we do this, we're going to push our weight into the opposite side, opposite hip. So slowly roll from one side and then push the weight all into that right foot. Good, so we're just going to go for a side here. Make sure if there's lower back pain or you're feeling that your lower back's starting to switch on, come out straight away. We want to make sure the core is doing the obliques, the core is doing all the work here. So let's just get 2 more done. Alright guys, so then from here, we're going to do, wherever the hands go, the bum goes the opposite way. So we're going to roll circles here, nice and slow. Once again, if there's any back pain, come out of this one straight away. Reach as far around as possible. Imagine you drawing a big circle above your head, and we're trying to keep things as controlled as possible, increase the size of that circle. We're just going to go 3 more reps. And 2 more. Probably hear a few clicks and cracks in the morning. There's no pain with them, that's completely normal. And there we go, guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's routine, guys. Add it in every day, see how you start to improve with mobility and just become a little bit more activated before you hit the water, and most of all, enjoy.